I graduated in 2010 with a mechanical engineering degree. As engineers, it's kind of just all about problem solving. And from a small child, I grew up on a farm and just kind of enjoyed taking things apart, putting them back together, trying to figure out how to make things better. I didn't know it at the time, but pathway to becoming an engineer. Kind of later on, developed some interest in engines and vehicles. And school was always good at math and science, so I was involved with engineering, especially mechanical engineering. Those were the things that made me want to go into that field. But the field it's really broad. It's almost any company that makes something or develops something could have a mechanical engineer hired. So it's a little hard to figure out exactly what you want to do with that degree, even after you've obtained it. So, for me, I kind of looked at those experiences as a child on the farm. And, I grew up using John Deere equipment. I was fortunate enough to get an internship with John Deere for a couple of years in college, and that just led right into a full-time position there. And that was really kind of took the pressure off having those internships. Even once you get into, a company, a big company like John Deere, I was in one division that develops engines. There's just a whole variety of things you could do being a mechanical engineer. So I was fortunate to get to go into a development program, spend some time doing different things with warranty and manufacturing, engine performance and calibration, and then finally emissions, specifically around after treatment controls. So that was kind of what started my career, and it's been kind of a similar path around emissions and engines since then. But I really wanted to get back to the Rocky Mountain region, especially. I grew up there and loved it. So I was able to move back and work for a company called SGS, and it was a little bit of a turn from what I was doing, but I was testing vehicles now at SGS, and that was really fun because I had a lot of interest in cars and stuff and prototype vehicles, and work with all the big manufacturers, kind of learn about the more details of stuff that we use every day and most people don't really even think about, but it just works. So that was pretty fun, but I missed the development stuff. It was mostly just doing testing only, the regulations and things. So that's when I finally got the opportunity to move up here to Windsor and work for Woodward. I got back into development, back into engines. This time it was natural gas and propane engines. That's one thing I did definitely want to share. It's definitely a challenging degree. It takes a lot of time, but early on, it made me really prioritize my day and the time management. Kind of blocking certain time that was definitely school time, and then obviously the football time was pretty well planned out. But it's great skill to use for all of life, but especially in my career. There's a lot of the companies are pretty lean, especially and kind of puts a lot of workload, and that skills I've learned from time management and prioritization have been very crucial. And I will say that staff that was on the football team at the time was very geared towards getting a degree. We're very supportive, and a lot of tools out there that they helped tutors or kind of as a freshman, there were certain study times to just kind of set those habits right away. So definitely won't disagree with that, but it's good. Well, I really enjoyed the development here. Kind of like I said, as a kid, I was always trying to figure out, how things worked, how to make it better. And that's what I get to do here. I get to work with engines. It's another interest, but we can figure out how to make them more efficient, how to get better emissions. It's a kind of, big topic, environmental impacts. And, specifically with the natural gas and propane engines we deal with, we're talking about markets that, have traditionally been very dirty environments. You can, think of the China's, Asia kind of cultures, where products go, and it's becoming a big push, and it feels good to be a part of, making the world a better place. So. We deal with customers a lot, which is good and can be bad. You're dealing with their timelines, which are ever changing. You're dealing with development parts too. So there's a lot of times you're working on something, and then all of a sudden at the last minute they make a change, and you gotta figure out how to make that work because you got to deliver to the customer. So sometimes that's challenging. The other little challenging piece, like I said, is predominantly our customers are not in the U.S. So Asia is a big one. So language barriers and cultural differences. And so that's, another thing I would offer is just that, there's a big world outside of the small place we live, and find opportunities to learn about cultures and languages. It definitely can be helpful. Just the time management stuff, and I think that's big. The other one is just, not being afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. There's been many times when a manager or somebody has come to me and asked, "Will you take that on?" And in the moment, it's kind of like, man, I don't know if I know how to do that, or that sounds challenging, and just, not being afraid to step outside of that comfort zone and tackle new things. And I think that's been a big reason of my success. Just, people notice that. Like I said, the mechanical engineering field is pretty vast. So I think, as early on as possible, it's just really trying to dive into different aspects of that field. And if possible, getting an internship, that was huge for me. And then also trying to kind of align it with your interests definitely helped. Like I said, the John Deere equipment thing was a big push for me, and just cars and engines. So I feel fortunate there. Just trying to find that fit early on is helpful, because then you can kind of tailor some of your final classes to, to that field a little bit. Well, hindsight's always 2020. I mean, I feel pretty fortunate that, my path so far has just kind of been a building. I've been able to take the skills from one thing to the next, and it's all worked pretty well. If you knew exactly what it was you wanted to do, you could definitely tailor some of your classes and things. For me specifically, I've done a lot of stuff around controls and ECUs, so programming and modeling may have been helpful, or just some of that specific stuff if you really knew this was the path I wanted to take. I had the opportunity, being on the football team, just to network with a ton of different people that were on many different career paths. I think, that is super valuable. I know good friends that are in all different areas, different degrees, different fields, different parts of the country. I think that you never know when those relationships, are valuable, or when something might come up. So, take advantage of things that the university offers for networking, especially, within and outside of your specific field.